Martin Luther King had a dream just as Rick Grimes did, but unfortunately Freddy Krueger came along and he snatched those dreams and turned them into nightmares where Rick could no longer see Carl. Welcome back, guys, to Fog Entertainment here to review The Walking Dead, The Ones Who Live. Episode 4. This one is called What We. Next week's episode is called Become. And I'm actually wondering, what has Rick Grimes become? Because in this entire episode, he was nothing short of a snivelling little crybaby bitch, and he does come across as the feminine character out of the two. It's almost like Michonne is here to save Rick. She is here to rescue Rick. Rick is the one in trouble. Rick is the one needing help. Rick is the one that's been abused and captured and traumatized. Like, Rick's this little fucking crybaby, and Michonne needs to come and be the big saviour. It's not the saviours, it's not Negan, it's just a saviour, and Michonne appears to be Rick's.
Yes, she does appear to be Rick's, and now let's just get one thing clear. I think we've got to base an entire episode around Rick's reason about why he doesn't want to come back, and then have the reason sucks. It's a disaster. It's a recipe for disaster. At least if the reason was good, that would make the whole episode feel worthwhile. I think because the reason was so bad, you kind of just sat through this episode and went, I feel like I've wasted 50 minutes with that episode. I feel like with the first 3, it was good. I think with this episode, not that it was bad, but I think when the meaning behind it is idiotic,
well,
it loses points.
It wasn't necessarily the reason he wasn't leaving, but it was basically what broke him. I guess it was what he decided was going to keep him there, because he had nothing left to live for. But Rick Grimes basically opened up in this episode, and he revealed that the CRM, they took Coral away from him. And I don't know how they done that. We thought he was going to lead on to something. He spoke about dreams and how he's seen Coral in his dreams and how Coral just disappeared from his dreams. Was it some sort of experiment? Did they play mind games? Did they torture Rick? What did they do to Rick? Did they implement something into his brain so that he could no longer dream of Coral? No, we didn't really get any explanation. Rick was just saying when he first got captured by the CRM, he used to dream of Coral, and then over time, he just stopped dreaming of Coral, and he started dreaming of Michonne, and it kind of felt flat. It was nice to see Rick name drop Carl, but I was expecting it to have a bit more of an impact. I was expecting the reasoning for the name drop to have more of an impact, and just to be like a bigger deal. But he basically just said, yeah, I used to dream of Carl and now I no longer do it. And that was it, and that's what basically broke him. And then he went on to say that he can't really leave here because he's still dreaming of Michonne, and he knows that Carl is dead, so he can't really dream of him, I guess, anymore, because he knows that he isn't alive. Whereas if he stays with the CRM, then there's a chance that Michonne might outlive him, and therefore he's okay with that. So Rick basically saying, it doesn't matter if Michonne's dead or alive, as long as he doesn't know, then that is good enough to keep him breathing, because he needs Michonne to be alive for him to live, or else he'll die. I mean, very strange reasoning there for Rick Grimes. It kind of lost me, I'm going to be honest, but we'll talk more about that, I guess, when we get to that part of the episode. I mean, let's wrap it up. They basically spent the entire episode in this building that from the opening 5-10 minutes, the building is like falling apart after the helicopter blasts the building. And then they stayed in the building for a very long time. They would take regular breaks. It almost seems like they spent overnight in the building. They even stopped to have like sex in the building. And the building, meanwhile, is we're supposed to believe that the building could crumble at any time. Yet Rick and Michonne are constantly taking breaks here to have heart-to-hearts. And it's just not really believable. They're trying to play into the fact that, well, these two are in real danger because this building could fall at any moment. And then they would just stop and would take these like long periods, resting times where they would just like lock up in an apartment and then talk about things. And, it takes you out of the equation here. It just takes the building. It ruined it for me, man. I didn't understand it. I mean, it was a very weak episode. I've already said that The Walking Dead has a limited amount of characters. Well, this episode was very limited. You got 2.
Yeah.
Other than name drops, you got two characters. It was a two-character episode. And for me, that's a big problem with The Walking Dead, The Ones Who Live. In terms of named characters left in the show, we have five. Bill barely gets a scene. And then obviously you got Jadis and Pearl, who were both mentioned in this episode. Bill, though, wasn't mentioned in this episode. And I just don't see how you can have a TV series with a lack of a cast. And for me, this show's not got a cast. It's basically a two-person show. It's a love story. They are forcing Rick and Michonne down our throat. You would be led to believe that Rick and Michonne had this some sort of like unbelievable bond in the original Walking Dead. You would be led to believe from what we see here that there's never been a pair that love each other as much as Rick and Michonne do. But I mean, newsflash, it just wasn't there in The Walking Dead. Even when they did get together, it wasn't like the strongest relationship in the show. So, but now they're trying to portray it as if these two are soulmates, and I think the whole thing feels very forced as well. I'm just not really buying it.
I'm not really buying it. You went on a wee tangent there, but I think it was justified because you look at this show and you've got a severe lack of characters. Yeah, Daryl get name dropped here. But again, it just stems back to what I said earlier. I think because of Rick's reasoning, it was pathetic. It just felt like an entire waste of an episode. And also, how weak-minded is Rick that he's like, well, I'm not much of a shitebag, Michonne. I would rather sit in the CRM with the possibility you could be dead, but I'll never know for sure, so I can always dream that you're alive instead of, oh, I don't know, going back and protecting your own. Because you've got to bear in mind, there's more threats out there than the CRM.
Like, that's kind of like us saying, you know, I'm never going to check my bank balance because at least I can live happily knowing that I might be a millionaire. I mean, what the fuck?
Yeah, but there's more...
No, like, what the point?
No, there's more threats.
Makes no sense.
There's more threats out there in the CRM. Right? I mean, even Michonne said that during the 8-year time skip, which was confirmed, some woman came in and kidnapped Judith and a bunch of kids.
Yeah, Rick doesn't know about that. He doesn't know about the Whisperers. He doesn't know about any of that stuff.
Yeah.
He doesn't even know that Negan's walking about and, you know, living a normal life.
Yeah, it's like so much has happened. And Rick, it's like, it's not even he's like, what, he went, oh, but if we get back first, maybe we can flee Alexandria and move somewhere different. He's ruling everything off the table because of his conscience.
Yeah, so Rick is adamant that he cannot leave. If he leaves, then the CRM will come looking for him, and that means they will kill everybody. And he doesn't want that from Michonne. Michonne then says, "I can't believe I've left my children to come and find you, and you've turned into this." Then Rick catches on. What do you mean, children? Michonne explains that he's got a son. His name is RJ. Michonne says that he looks exactly like Rick and that her only contribution is the light brown skin. So not surprised that got a wee mention in there. Mixed race relationship here, getting forced down our throat, I believe.
Absolutely not. But I think just look at Rick, man. The guy's so weak. Michonne, like she said, man, travelled the 7 seas to find him. Spent a year on oxygen with Nat. I mean, fucking what? I thought it was a couple of months at best. A year with a midget. No, that's insane. No, that is actually insane. Like, I think it was chlorine gas. Yeah, it takes a long time to recover, but it's like, no wonder Michonne is pissed. Like, she's actually left Alexandra behind, left 2 young enough kids behind, right? Fuck knows what's happening there. Don't have any scoobies.
Kids could be dead.
Could be dead. And Rick's like, well, I need you to go back because then my dreams can be safe. No, I cannot accept this, right? And see people that actually praise this, they're delusional. They're drinking the Rick Kool-Aid like everyone else in the original show did for like 7 seasons because it's mumbo, it's words without meaning. See, when we watched this episode, I was wondering, what could this possibly be? Is Rick going to come out? I even think if Rick came out and said he was gay, it would make way more sense. But this...
Would it really? Well,
he woke like that.
He stayed away from Judith because he's gay? What sense does that make?
I know, but they're forcing this love thing.
I'm glad you're not writing the show. The Rick's whole reasoning is he can't leave because the CRM will know where he's going, Jadis will know where he's going, and they'll track him down. They see a helicopter, I believe it's the same helicopter that they jumped out of that crashed into the building, so Michonne is believing that she saved Rick's life or else they would have crashed into the building, and Michonne now thinks she's got this bright idea that they can now escape because they're going to believe that they were both in the helicopter crash, and Michonne just thinks it's as simple as that. That same saved, they can go home. Everything is safe. But that doesn't really work for me because surely Rick would have thought of that. Surely Rick would have thought, I can stage my own death. I can crash this helicopter and make the CRM believe that I have, died in the crash or whatnot. So it just felt very forced that one little helicopter crash later and Michonne thinks all their problems are solved and that Rick can just leave. And even then, when Rick does leave with Michonne, it's like, why did he not address the CRM and why didn't he address what they're going to do? Michonne said they could possibly go and kill Jadis, but Rick's like, we can't do that because she's got the files. So what are they going to do? You tell me that Jadis is just going to look at the helicopter and just go, Rick must be dead? And they're not going to search for Rick? Is she not going to go to Alexandria and make sure he didn't go back there? Like, it's a bit naive for Rick and Michonne just to decide, you know what? We can go back after all. Rick's just decided after 8 years, no wait, it's safe to leave and go back to Alexandria.
He's wasted 8 years of his kids being brought up. No, it's crazy. I mean, I just don't get any of this. What the hell's going on? It's like Jadis as well. What was he just going to let? So 1 minute it's the Jadis leverage. Next minute it's dreams about Carl and dreams about Michonne. What is it, Rick? I know he came out and said that. I mean, I think the Jadis thing's way more believable. At least his actual threat.
The Jadis thing is more believable. I'm not really paying attention to what Rick said with the dream. I think that's been misconstrued. I genuinely do not see how he can use dreams as a reasoning for him staying away for 8 years.
Michonne accepted it. Michonne bought it, ate it up.
No, I think that's why he's upset. But the reason he's not be able to leave is because of the CRM and the fact that they will follow him.
I just missed the
and that they kill everybody.
Rick would have bit Jadis' throat out, man, and ran across and hoovered the evidence and ran back to Alexandria. That's what he'd have done. But this Rick, not so much. But yeah, we've got like chandeliers falling on Michonne. Oh, is she going to die? No, she's not. Well, walkers are just no longer a threat at this stage of the game. It's like a weird research facility they're in. It kind of reminded me of Resident Evil, some degree, Umbrella. The walkers though, they were very slim for whatever reason. They've done a wee bit of their own research. You've got hybrid cars outside. But I think the worst thing is like the forced love story. I could accept a love story, but it's like it's so fucking cringe. It's like
every time they go down a flight of stairs, they're kissing. They get into the elevator, and why would you use an elevator when a building's falling apart? I don't really know.
No, but this is too like. I mean, Rick's probably about 50. Michonne's probably about what, early 40s, maybe 40. I mean, this isn't two high school teenagers at 14, for fuck's sake, man. It's like it's two grown adults. And even in the promo for next week, they're like kissing and, oh yeah, Rick, and you know, they're running, holding hands, and all this shit.
Well, Scott Gimple did say this was a love story, and I guess he was true to his word. That appears to be what it is. But
yeah, but like whatever, but it's a part of the same franchise. It's a part of the same timeline. You just never got this in the original show or any of the other things. Like, yeah, you had relationships, right? But they like see Maggie and Glenn. Did they have to kiss every time they were within 2 feet of each other? Feels like these two need to.
Yeah, so they get into the lift. They start kissing. Again, you wouldn't really use the lift. I'm pretty sure you would take the stairs.
Yep.
They manage to get outside. They jump in a car. Rick can't use the car because of the shift, and he's only got one hand. So Michonne has to jump over top of Rick, and while she's jumping over the top of Rick, they have another makeout session, and it's like, what the hell? Like, it's just so forced at this point.
People buried, though, the Shane and Andreas scene. No, but look how much more fucking forced this is. It's just everything about it's forced.
Yeah, it was very forced.
The entire interracial relationship's forced, right? But at least if they were just in a relationship, I could accept it. It's rammed in your throat. Like, I just don't get it.
Rick's never had this sort of relationship with any woman in The Walking Dead.
No.
Whether it be Michonne in the original, or Laurie, or Jesse, or whoever else Rick may have had a little bit of an interest in, we've just never really seen Rick get on like this. But all of a sudden now he's, him and Michonne are completely in love, and I just don't really get it.
I think they're just doing it though to try and make Michonne feel more equal to Rick. It's more you're seeing them as one rather than two separate characters, sort of thing.
And you can make this argument, right, that they haven't seen each other in 8 years and that's why. But I would make the argument that over 8 years you would grow apart. I'd say that's more like
makes the heart grow fonder, obviously, in these two cases.
Nah, I'm not buying that. And they escape, they jump in a car, then they drive off. So, I mean, that was it. Literally not joking here. This full episode was just Rick and Michonne arguing in a building about why Rick cannot leave the CRM and return home to Alexandria. That basically sums up the whole episode.
It was filler.
No word of it. Well, I mean, I don't know if it was. It didn't need to be a full episode of this. Put it that way.
Well, no, that means filler. Yes, you've got something important in there. But
I thought we were going to see Jadis. I thought we did see a helicopter, but I mean, I thought we were going to see the CRM come after Rick.
See the conversation, right, that they had and his reasoning. I'm not going to take seeing like The Walking Dead season 3. That would have been over in 3 minutes, 4 minutes. They actually dedicated 50 minutes to this episode, and no doubt the next episode it won't be the exact same because Rick's obviously like revealed reasonings and they're on their way back to Alexandria, buddy. But I'm sick of this cringe fest. Can we just focus on the task at hand, which is getting back to Alexandria? Like what are they going to be getting out of the car next episode? And as Rick's pouring the petrol into the hybrid man, she's going to be kissing him.
I can't believe.
And then the way Rick broke down when they were having sex, it's like. And then she had to comfort him. It's like, fuck, Rick, have you got anything left about you?
Well, it wasn't just one time. Like, there was quite a lot of times during this episode where Rick was crying his eyes out, bawling.
I know.
And she's the one.
But why can't she cry? Why can't he offer her a shoulder to cry on? Why's the man got to look so fucking weak?
I mean, he's looked weak this entire show. Whether he was, I mean, the only person that Rick has stood up to, funnily enough, was Okavar.
Yeah.
Other than that, he's been talked down to Pearl. He's been threatened by Pearl. Jadis has fucking got Rick's nuts in her hand. Both hands, unlike Rick, he's only got one, but you know she's got a double squeeze going on. This is just it's not the Rick Grimes that we know. And who knows? I mean, maybe when he gets his hands on General Beale, we'll see the old Rick Grimes. But when he's surrounded by women, he does feel like a little bitch, and it's a tough watch. I don't really like the direction they're going with Rick Grimes. I think this show's been okay, but for me, this was probably the worst episode so far.
Yeah.
I would say it's the worst episode so far. I get it. They need to have this discussion. They need to, break down and open up and, talk about why Rick can't go back and talk about what he's missed and introduce the fact that he's got a son. I know you need to do all that, but did you really need to dedicate a whole episode to it when you've only got a 6-episode potential 1-season show and they had to dedicate? This would be like Rick meeting up with the group in the original Walking Dead and they dedicate a whole episode with just Rick talking about Laurie. Or Rick talking to Laurie.
Yeah, it just wouldn't happen. But that's the problem though, I think with the first few episodes, they crammed so much in that you can't say they didn't, but then they have episodes like that, and then an episode after it were like not. I mean, it wasn't quite the Fly episode for Breaking Bad, but it kind of felt like that to me, where it was like this prolonged conversation that just took up a full. You can think of so many, like I said, the examples. It's already in this spin-off. They crammed so much. Look at like the first episode, the first 10 minutes. Rick's cut off his hand. There's like 6 years I've went there. So much has happened, but in this one, it's just it would go to black for like the break. It'd come back. She's still nagging at him, and he's given another piss reason. Yeah, I didn't really dig this episode. I'll give it a 4 out of 10.
Yeah, I just don't really get it. Rick says that Jadis thinks that when we're together, we can achieve anything. Well, if that's the case, then why have you been proclaiming that you can't leave? If you can achieve anything, then you should have left 2 episodes ago when you found Michonne.
No, what I don't get though, right? They hype up the CRM like they're this undefeatable force, like the Third Reich for fuck's sake, right? What are Michonne and Rick in the grand scheme of things? Right, yeah, Rick's the main character, right? But we're supposed to believe this is like reality for them. The CRM are capable of anything. They've got like manpower, 200,000 people. That's just another forced line to make you think that this fucking relationship is beyond the realms of like the world. Like they're possible everything. Well, why is Jadis even putting them over? So fuck, it's pathetic. That's what it is.
Jadis has got 200,000 people behind her, but she's afraid of 2 people.
No, honestly, like I mean, come on, like yeah, Rick is the main character.
Rick can do nothing on his own. Rick on his own's this, fragile, trapped guy that's been held hostage essentially by the CRM, but you add him Michonne, and Rick can achieve anything.
No, you may think this is a stretch, but this would be like, obviously Jadis ain't top person CRM, but this is like Big Himmler, right, from the Nazis in World War Two, noticing this guy who's like a corporal in the Allies, and he's like, see him and his wife, they're fucking capable of anything, Adolf. He's like, oh fuck, we need to down all tools, buddy. It's a load of shit, right? The relationship, here, if they want to be in one, fair enough. But I think they need to take a few steps back with it. But they're not. They're just going to double down and hammer it home.
Yeah, I'm going to get a 5 out of 10.
4.5 out of 10 then. That is us. 2 episodes to go. And, I mean, that's another thing, like with Rick. There's talk of him dying. Imagine if he dies, though, after doing this season. Be weak.
More should have happened in this episode. I can't... I'm struggling to think of an episode where... This did feel like latter Walking Dead, where things were just dragged out to the core. But even then, I don't really recall an episode being dragged out like this. No. Where it was basically two people talking about the same thing.
Like, imagine Michonne returned to Alexandria and told, like, Daryl and Maggie and all the kids, like, he didn't want to come back because, you know... Because Jadis had a sheet of paper and he didn't want his dreams to be taken away. What?
Be a bit like the toys in Toy Story 2 having to go back and tell Andy, Woody's not coming home.
Woody's not coming home,
You know, it's like, what the heck? Anyway, guys, 4.5 out of 10. Weakest episode so far. We will watch the trailer, then give our reaction to that. Danny Gurrier, or whatever her name is, she wrote this episode.
You're my favourite deputy.
So, I don't know, maybe that's why. It just wasn't very good. It was poor. It was pretty poor.
You're a sad little space ranger.
You know, it wasn't the worst episode I've ever seen of The Walking Dead. It was still better than a lot of the later seasons of the original show. But
I think the acting's good, but...
Yeah, no, the acting's good, but it didn't need to... More should have happened, alright? They could have done exactly what they done with Rick and Michonne. Just, like, I don't know, cut a few scenes and maybe had Jadis, like, closing in on them or something, or some sort of outside threat. It was literally just a 50-minute conversation between Rick and Michonne about arguing why, oh, I can't come back. No, you can come back. No, I can't leave. No, you can leave. You know, it's like, I mean, come on. And then it's like Rick just decides out of nowhere that, yeah, you're right, I can leave. It's like, what actually switched the light on inside Rick's head to decide, you know what, I can go back to Alexandria?
I don't know, but like, why this game with CRM, why can't no one know about them? I mean, you're an army of like 200,000. You're going to be known. You can't keep that shit under wraps.
Well, you can if you kill everybody you meet.
No, I don't get... Why, though? Why does it need to be under wraps?
Because they don't want it to be vulnerable.
Oh, but again, be vulnerable but against a bunch of people at the fucking hilltop?
Well, that's what I mean. Like, say the CRM come across the hilltop and they don't kill the hilltop. Is that going to come back to bite the CRM? That the fact that maybe 60 people at the hilltop know that a group of 200,000 exist?
Yeah, but that's another thing, right? Rick is running the risk that the fact Jadis knows everything. Like, she knows all the locations where they are. She could wake up one day and be like, you know what? I'm going to send 4 attack helicopters to blow up Alexandria. Why take that risk? And
I tell you what, I think it makes perfect sense for Jadis to go to Alexandria now, because let's say season 7 of The Walking Dead, when Negan took Daryl, see if Daryl went missing from the sanctuary, or if he faked his own death, or he was presumed dead, would Negan just be like, oh, well, Daryl must be dead? Or would Negan go straight to Alexandria to see if Daryl returned there? That's what he done.
Well, that's what he did do.
So, like, surely based on that logic, Jadis is going to go, right, well, we're going to pay Alexandria a visit and see if Rick and Michonne magically are together and then all of a sudden they just disappear, but they're both dead. And you tell me Jadis isn't going to check out Alexandria?
Yeah, no, crazy. Yeah, I think we've dragged this out a wee bit too much, guys. But anyway,
well, they dragged the episode out, so can we.
So can we. But till next time, peace.